Good morning and welcome to Waters Garden Center. My name is Michelle, and this class today is going to be on fall colors. We have an abundant amount of plants that you can use in your yard for fall colors, and they're not necessarily all deciduous trees. Evergreens make a great pop of color next to maple. You really get that contrast going when you mix colors in. For plants, a few housekeeping things that I would like to talk about today, just going into fall. As you all know, our temperatures have started to change. We're not as warm in the days and our nights are cool. So it's time to change your water system, that twice a week or even the once a week that you were doing really thoroughly. If you were on once a week, keep it that way. If you're doing it more than once a week, you really want to cut back because the trees and shrubs are starting to shut down. They don't expend that moisture like they do in the heat of the summer. So it's a good time to readjust your sprinkler system so they're not getting quite as much water as often. That being said, in December, when we get into December, most of you will shut your sprinkler systems off. Most people don't leave their drip systems on because of frost. Kind of depends on where you are as far as having them blown out, but I would check with your neighbors and see what they do to find out exactly if you need to do that or not. In December, you can basically stop watering every week and go to every 2 weeks if we do not get any significant moisture, which means a good snowstorm, a foot or more. The snow that we get in the fall, in the winter, is that champagne powder stuff people like to ski on, but there's not a lot of moisture content. The good snows really don't have the moisture until February, March. And that's when you can actually count that snowfall as moisture. So watch your system, change your watering schedule. Your plants will be happy, especially new plants. A lot of people just, wintertime, that they're going to be fine. If you have new plants, it's really, really important to water. Even though they're dormant, and they're just in the ground, you need to keep that root system moist. If it dries out at all, you will not leaf out in the spring and you're going to be unhappy. So make sure you're keeping that root system moist for your plant, and it'll be great in the summer or spring. Fertilize. Fall is a great time to fertilize. We get it down Halloween, so we're right on schedule for that. The water's all purpose. It's a 744, it's a slow release fertilizer. We put it on the holidays, so we keep Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, and New Year's Eve for your evergreens. Your deciduous stuff, you can actually skip that New Year's feeding. They've gone to sleep. The one that you do at Halloween is going to be there for springtime. And then you do it in the spring, March, Easter, so it can make it through July, okay? To apply that, it's 2 cups per inch of caliper on a tree. So you're basically going to take a look chest high, and whatever it is, if it's this big around, it's about 4 inches, 3 inches. So you're going to put 2 cups per inch, so you're going to go 8 inches, or 8 cups, sorry. There's 40 cups in this bag, just to kind of give you an idea of how much you're going to need. The fertilizer is actually, there's a price break the more bags you get. So if you go, it's $27.99 a bag. If you buy 3 bags or more, it's going to drop down to $25. If you buy 6 bags or more, it drops down to $20. So kind of keep that in mind when you're if you want to save some money. If you have a place to store it, it's great. It's not going to go bad as long as it doesn't get wet. Sometimes if it gets wet, it gets really chunky, and it'll still work, but it's kind of hard to apply. So going into fall, we enjoy the cool season. You can plant a bunch of different things. Fall vegetables, you can definitely do your lettuce, your chard, beets, all that stuff will thrive in the cool temperatures. Onions, especially like the green onions, they don't mind the cold. Annuals, pansies, snapdragons, stock, the ornamental kales are great for fall colors. They don't mind the snow, the cold. Even the pansies with that 2 foot of snow that we had last year, as soon as the sun came out, they just pop up and say, "Hi, I'm here, don't forget me," and they're really happy.
Do rabbits like pansies?
Unfortunately, yes. Rabbits like pansies. Pack rats like the cabbage. The rabbits like the cabbage too. So some of the stuff, be very careful because a lot of the annuals in the fall are animal resistant, except for this one. This is stock. Stock is really fragrant. It smells like cloves. This is one that they will leave alone. It's an evergreen, so it'll bloom all winter. And all of these annuals will make it through May. Once that heat hits, usually you'll start seeing things just kind of go, and they'll wither, and then you'll replace them with the hotter season annuals that you bring in. If you are looking at planting an evergreen, fall is a great time to do it. It's actually prime time to do it because they get extra footing in the ground before the heat of the summer comes. So if you plant them in the fall, we get, through, usually everything kind of shuts down in December-ish. Even the evergreens, they're not expanding, they're not intaking a lot. So they're gonna kind of just sit there until it starts warming up again. Once they start warming up again, they get a couple of 2 or 3 months before June hits, and we get the hot, dry winds that kind of prevail from March till June. So prime time, we just got a shipment of our living Christmas tree, so all our evergreens are here. Please take a look. They're in the front of the store, they're on the side of the store, they're in the back of the store. So we've got them all over the place. If you're interested, just let one of us know. We can absolutely show you. Like I said, this time is a great time for evergreens. They also give you that pop of color as we go into the winter season. A lot, I don't know how many of you are new to the area here. We have a lot of new people coming in. I've been here for 3 years now, and it was kind of a culture shock a little bit because I'm from Colorado and we have a lot of green. Temperature-wise, it's very similar. It's just really dry. But a lot of you are from California, Ohio, are some of the most popular places that I've heard people come in from. And the DG that we have, all the rocks, are just kind of a shock to the system. So what we like to do is add some color, just to give you a pop of color, something to look at out the kitchen window or your living room window or something, something to look at. So evergreens, we have Vanderwolf pines, we have blue spruce. Vanderwolf is one of those tree hugger trees. It's really soft, really fluffy needles. It's one that you don't mind going up and actually petting it because it's really, really nice. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with these trees because they're very drought tolerant, but watering, they can go south really, really fast. So they're one that if you're gonna pay attention to what you're doing and really watch your trees, make sure that they're on the right cycle as far as watering, I would say definitely it's a tree for you. If you're one that just sets the water system and goes out of town, it's probably not what you want because they react really quickly, and if you're not on top of it, you're gonna lose your tree. Blue spruce are popular around here. They do really well. They're very drought tolerant. They're one of those, once you get them established, once a week, really good watering is all they need. Oregon green pine, which is what this guy is. I really like him because he's full from the bottom all the way to the top. He's going to get about 20 feet tall and about 10, 15 wide. So he's one of those more narrow evergreens that's not going to take up a really big space in your yard, but it'll give you a nice color. So this is a golden deodar cedar, really pretty tree. He's going to get in that 20-ish range as far as height goes, maybe 12 wide. All his new growth is going to be this nice golden color. If you have kind of a darker space in your yard, you know, under a bunch of trees, or you just need some color, this will lighten it up. So it gives you some nice, really nice contrast. And everybody's seen the autumn blaze maples around town. They're spectacular right now. Sorry. We have a ton of those. They get about 40 feet tall, 30 to 40, and about 20 to 30 wide. They are going to be really quick growers. Once they're established, which usually takes about 3 years, it's sleep, creep, and leap. So your first year is all about root system. Your second year, they're going to grow a little. You're going to see some growth. In your third year, that's when they really take off. The autumn blaze maple is one of our fastest growing deciduous trees out there. So if you need a nice shade tree, it's a good one to choose. This little guy here is a pinyon pine. These are the ones that do your pine nuts. Cute little tree. This is actually a 2-needle pinyon pine. We actually have a single needle pinyon pine that is actually a little bit, has a blue color to it. Kind of a really unique tree. I should have brought it up too. But there's 2 varieties, this one and the single needle, and they both do the pine nuts. Usually takes about 10 years once you get these planted, and unless you get a bigger one. Sometimes we do get 10-gallon ones that are about this tall, so it's going to take about half the time. This is a burning bush. This is a deciduous shrub. He's going to get in that 4 to 6 foot range. Green leaves in the summertime, and then he turns this beautiful red color in the fall. And if you have like a hedge of these, they're just spectacular. Even just one next to a green tree, he's going to look great. This guy here is a royal purple smoke tree. We have a couple of different varieties of these. This is a single stem. It's on a standard. This is actually going to be a tree. The other ones that I have are going to be multi-stemmed. So as it grows, you're going to just kind of trim the bottom leaves and the bottom branches up, so you get that multi-stem trunk underneath, and then you get your canopy on top. These guys will get about 15 feet tall, about 10, 12 feet wide. They are deciduous, so they're going to lose their leaves. They have this gorgeous purple color all summer long. They do put out wispy, almost like has anybody seen a patchy plume? Those little feathers that they have out. They have a spray like that, and it looks like smoke, and that's why they call it a smoke tree. And I have both, like I said, I have the multi-stem, and then I have these guys. In the fall, they change their color, so they get these red, orange. It's really, really pretty. So if you need a smaller tree instead of a big one, this is perfect. We were kind of talking about this one in front, before class. This is a fragrant sumac, or low grow sumac. I've heard it called both. Gorgeous fall color, green leaves in the spring and summer. He's going to get about 8 feet wide and about 3 to 5 tall. There is a fragrance to him, and so he does smell good. So if you put him somewhere where you can walk by him, you'll actually smell him all summer. Another really pretty fall color plant. One of the favorites around town. This is a Nandina. This is the Gulfstream variety. He's very compact, so he's only going to get about 3 by 3. Stays nice and tight. He doesn't get the stems like some of the older varieties of Nandina. It's almost like a tree, the older varieties of Nandina. They get taller too. This one's going to stay in that nice compact color or size, and the colors in the fall and winter, they turn this gorgeous orange-red. Usually they bloom in the summertime, little white flowers, kind of non-significant as far as wow, but it's really pretty. And then they usually have red berries that go into the winter time as well. They do keep their leaves all year round. If you need to prune, usually people wait until spring to do any pruning if you want to shape or do any of that. So that's a good time for that. This guy here is a perfect purple crabapple. He's really pretty because he has this purple foliage all summer long. Gorgeous pink flowers. Get my tag here. Gorgeous pink flowers in the spring, and then he does have about a 1/4 inch berry that are, for the most part, persistent anymore. And what persistent means is that they actually hold on to the tree so they don't drop and make messes all over. Usually the birds will eat them before you even see the mess. You'll just have to rake the leaves later. Gorgeous fall color. They turn oranges and reds. So it's a really nice one to have in your yard. This is also another smaller tree. It's going to get in that usually about 15 to 20 foot range and 15 to 20 wide. Kind of a large oval shape as far as the canopy goes. But it's a really nice smaller tree. This guy here, I just can't beat the color. He is a variegated English holly. We bring him in for Christmas time. The one thing I will say with these guys is they do need some afternoon shade. They can't take the full sun in this area, so they do need some protection from that afternoon sun. Great color. Love the variegation. We also have the combo hollies. They also need some sun protection, but the combo, we used to have to buy a prince and a princess holly to get the berries. They've combined them now, so you get this, either they call them magic, what do they call them? There's a prince and princess combo. They also call it a family of hollies, so they've kind of put them all together. So you don't only have to get one instead of having two. These are all going to get pretty good size. Most of your hollies are going to get in that 8 to 10 foot range. Some of them can actually get a little bit larger, going into that 15 foot range. Usually in that same, but the nice thing about the hollies is that they're very trimmable if you wanted to kind of keep them kind of contained. I wouldn't go hot and heavy and keep them at 4 feet, but you know, if you keep them at 6, they would be okay. These are also, you can actually shape them to be a Christmas tree, which a lot of people will do and put them on their, you know, their patio where it's kind of covered coming into their house. Really, really pretty. We will probably get some smaller ones closer to Christmas just for that reason. This guy here is a northern pin oak. Really, really pretty tree. Oaks have kind of gotten a bad rap for a long time, that they're really slow growing, and the leaves sometimes will hold on to the tree when they turn, and then kind of turn brown and just hold on to there. But trees have really come a long way, so the newer varieties are actually, so they will actually drop their leaves. This one, you can't beat this color. And they're actually faster growing than they used to be. This one's going to grow in that 6 to 8 inches a year. So not super fast, but he's not going to just sit there for years and years and years. They do have acorns, just like regular oaks, but a nice tree for you. About 30 feet tall, about, I'd say 15, 20 wide. So he's going to be a really nice tree. I couldn't bring everything up here, or I would kind of be surrounded. But I wanted to talk about fruit trees a little bit. Your peach trees are gorgeous fall colors. They turn those oranges and yellows, and it's just kind of a lovely display of color. Those are nice trees as well. You can eat off of them. They give you flowers in the springtime, and then you get your color in the fall. Something people don't usually think about when they think about fall color is fruit trees, and they are a really good one. Aspens are great color. Aspens here kind of don't do as well as, if you live in certain areas, they do really well. Sometimes if you're in the lower areas, Prescott Valley, Dewey, Mayer, go with a birch instead, just so they don't get that crispy edge. They tend to scorch here. It's just hard to take them out of their environment and put them in here. Or if you're putting them in with you have an established landscape, so they're with other trees, they do really well because they get that wind protection and a little shade protection, and they don't dry up as much. The other tree I wanted to talk about is the redbud. They go beautiful yellow in the fall. Some of them, there's 3 different varieties that actually come out with purple leaves. The forest pansy has the kind of the purple-red color in the springtime. And then really pink, the pink flowers actually come out first, and then the leaves come out. Redbuds do well in any area of your landscape. They can take full sun, they can take some afternoon shade. Very versatile tree to put in your yard to get more seasonality out of them. Let's see, kind of going through. If you are looking for a smaller tree, there are actually some shrubs. The purple leaf sand cherry kind of looks like a ornamental plum tree, but only gets in that 10-foot range. Still has the pink flowers in the springtime, only gets about 10 by 7. So kind of a nice plant for a smaller area, and you still get your color. The other one I wanted to talk about is the euonymus. They, the winter creepers, they will, they come in, like the emerald gaiety is white and green. The emerald and gold is yellow and green, but they turn purple in the fall. I actually have a winter creeper. This is a berry winter, creeping wintergreen. So he's a ground cover. So he spreads out about 6 feet wide and stays in that 6 feet tall, or 6 inches tall, sorry. Little white flowers in the springtime, and then they have these really pretty berries in the fall. So all your winter creepers are going to turn this color. To step back and talk about annuals a little bit. Ornamental cabbages are really pretty, come in a wide variety of colors. This one's called Peacock. Has the white center, and then it has, someone thought this was an artichoke coming off the truck yesterday. Really pretty. Like I said, all of these are not animal resistant. My pack rats loved this one last year.
How about cold weather?
Her question was about cold weather. These guys love it. It doesn't bother them at all.
Freeze is okay.
Freeze is going to be fine for these, as well as your pansies, your snapdragons, your stock. Usually your dusty miller, it's got to get really, really cold for your dusty miller to die. This is the other color of the cabbage, nice purple. So you can find a color of a cabbage to put with your pots to match whatever color of flowers that you're going in there.
Will that little one grow as big as the big one you had?
Absolutely. If you have time, if the pot gets, as it grows, it's going to get bigger. Last year I had 3 of these, minus the one that the pack rat ate. But when I dug them out in the fall or spring, they were about like this size. So yeah. Grasses. These are little bitty guys, but this is the blue fescue. It's a mounding grass. These guys stay evergreen as well. So if you have like a walkway and you're, along your path, you can put these guys get about 2 feet by 2 feet. And again, they are evergreen. They're one of the few grasses that actually stay green all year. So there's not a lot of maintenance to them like your other grasses. If you got a carl forester or even your ivory feathered pampas grass, you're going to have to cut them back, and then they got to grow out again. These guys, you don't have to do that so much. Snapdragons. Snapdragons are one of those that kind of thrive in the cooler weather. They will survive through the summer. I've seen them all over the place. But in pots and stuff, usually they won't do as well as like your vincas, your petunias, your calicoas and stuff. So usually these are fall and spring annuals that we do. A lot of them will reseed themselves, so you'll end up with them all over the place. In the winter time, the snow doesn't bother them. Usually they'll stop blooming for a little bit during that December, January time frame. But once it starts warming up towards the end of February, early March, they'll just be spectacular. Russian sage is a perennial that is spectacular right now, driving around for the last, I'd say, 2 months. If you see these patches of purple, this is what this is. This one is the lacy blue Russian sage. It is a smaller variety. This one only gets about two by 2. Whereas your regular Russian sage gets in that 4 to 6. In the spring, you'll give it a whack and give it a trim job just to shape it up. That way you don't have funky sticks sticking out all over the place. But it blooms for 2 or 3 months and it gives you wonderful color. And it's really, really drought tolerant. Other evergreens that do really well here, shrubs are boxwoods. You can put them in full sun, they can take some shade. There's the Green Mountain boxwood is more of an upright boxwood. It's 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide. So if you had a columnar area that you kind of just wanted to highlight, those would be a great choice. Your wintergreen boxwoods are ones that are winter gem, get 5 by 5, so they're more roundy, very trimmable. If you like to do some pruning, you can do that. A lot of people do them for hedges. They make great plants for pots because they do not get quite so large. So those are good choices for those type of areas. Right behind you, winter season, we get the camellias. Those are the ones that are next to the pole. They're the ice angel camellias. They are a larger shrub. They are going to get in that 6 foot range, 6 by 6. But they're a great plant for a large pot in a shady spot. Bloom early spring, usually March-ish, early April. Really pretty red and pink flowers. So this is a good time. Usually we only get these once or twice a season. So if you have a spot like that, those are great for that area. Let's see. What else am I talking about? Oregon grape holly is another one, a different type of holly. The Oregon grape is right over here, and I can show you guys some of this stuff later if you're more interested in it. Oregon grape holly is a nice one because it will fit in the sun or the shade. Turns red, orange, fall color. In the springtime, it has those beautiful yellow flowers, and then it has those blueberries all summer long. Really pretty plant. Comes in a couple of different sizes. There's the creeping Oregon grape, which is a ground cover, gets about 1.5 feet, and then it'll spread out about 3 feet. The compact grape holly will get in that 3 to 4 foot by 3 to 4. So it's a nice, very drought tolerant specimen to have in your yard to give you some different contrast, and it does keep its leaves all winter long. There is the Daphnes that we get in the winter time as well. Those are another shade lover that get, a lot of them have different colors nowadays, that the new growth turned bright red. A lot of them are variegated, but again, you need some of that afternoon shade to protect them from the sun. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting something really important. They're another plant that like the shade, come in variety of sizes. They get in that, the dense spreading can get 5 or 6, and then they'll get 5 or 6 wide. Evergreen, little red berries. The Hicks yew is more upright, so it's more columnar. And then there is a smaller spreading yew that stays in that 3 foot, but it'll get 8 feet wide. So there are a lot of different plants out there that can give you some fall color, give you some enjoyment throughout the different seasons, and give you stuff to, my brain is dead today. So it'll give you a bunch of different contrasts and different colors to experiment with in your yard.
Can I just say, Michelle's thrown a lot of plant names at you here. One of the handouts we have is a thing that we've done in conjunction with the Yavapai County Extension Service. Goes into various plants, different evergreens, other plants, and so on and so forth. So that'll be one of the handouts that you will get when you signed up here. So I think everybody pretty much did sign up, but if you didn't and you want that, it'll be really helpful to kind of refresh your memory about, sure, what was it she said about that yew, or thanks.
Thank you.
This is my first winter here, and I have some perennials in pots and some herbs. So what would you recommend as far as trying to keep them over winter?
So she's got some perennials and herbs in pots. So what I would have to ask is, what kind of pots are they in? Clay. Okay. Just regular terracotta? Okay. So your perennials will do just fine. They will survive the winter. I would move them closer to your house just so they get that radiant heat. You also have to be cautious with terracotta pots because they're not specially fired, so they're going to eventually, as that expansion and contraction with the wet soils in there, your pot's going to crack eventually. So kind of keep that in mind. A lot of different herbs will survive our winters. Your thyme, your sages, oreganos, those will all, rosemary, lavenders, all of those will survive the winter. Don't forget to water them. Some of us just kind of stick them out there and forget that they're there. So make sure you're keeping up on the water. Being next to your house, they're going to get that heat, so you might need to water them, once or twice a week, depending on the size of the pot. If you're concerned about that cracking, you can put hay bales, in front of it just to give it a little bit of insulation there. It'll protect your pots and the roots. The bigger the pot, if it has more soil in there to kind of insulate your actual root system, you're not going to get that dying off. Usually we don't get that super cold where we stay freezing for a long period of time.
Bug hit both the double.
Yes. Yes. So he was asking about the scale that tends to hit the pinyon pines, and they will. In the springtime, you want to make sure you're protecting it with the plant protector. It's a systemic that goes inside the tree and keeps those scales off. It'll also protect pines from the phaciliads, which are those really fuzzy, big aphid-like things. That's a really technical term. But yeah. All right. I would like to thank you for coming, taking the time out of your morning to spend with me. appreciate it. If you have any questions after class, I'd be happy to.